thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Kate.
We're going to dive into Atlanta quarter stats. First, we kind of need to take a step back. You've been in the industry super long time. You work in Atlanta, but you also work a lot of other markets. So I'm curious, really, how are you feeling about Atlanta in today's state in Q1, and how does Atlanta compare to maybe the other markets you're working in as well?
Atlanta is steady, it's active, it's affordable compared to other markets. There are differences in every market that we see. In some cities like Charlotte and Dallas, parts of Houston, San Francisco, New York, they're kind of seeing a resurgence. See where Charlotte's activity level is up above pre-pandemic levels. And it shows. We just did a deal for a client of mine there, and I was shocked at how little concessions we got because of the vacancy in the submarket.
Okay, wow.
So Atlanta is holding its own. There's a lot of things that Atlanta doesn't have that the other markets have, which is a lot of conversion.
Yeah.
Taking inventory off the market. So that's kind of why our vacancy rates are probably pretty high. Yeah.
Kind of diving into the stats, vacancy, we'll start with that. Vacancy does remain elevated. Quarter over quarter, we are seeing it hover around that 25%. When you're on the ground actually working with your clients, does it feel like we're possibly at peak, or does it feel like Atlanta's still working through that high vacancy?
We're still going to work through it.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with our vacancy is higher than the national average, which is anywhere between 17 or 23%, depending on who you talk to.
Right.
And I go back to the fact that we don't have the conversions of office taking inventory off the market. We don't have a lot of new construction either. And everybody talks about flight to quality.
Right.
At the higher end, vacancy rates are lower, but when you get down into the suburban inventory, we have to clear that out before we can actually see some improvements. But overall, it's stable. Not as many foreclosures as other markets. There's still capital market issues that make a difference in how you can drive deals.
Right. Yeah, and speaking of flight to quality, we've talked about, I feel like, that term for a few years now, and tenants upgrading space, chasing better buildings. Are you still seeing that as the main story in Atlanta? Do you think demand is starting to spread out over these, maybe some markets that aren't Atlanta central?
That's a good question. Every city has different submarkets, and every submarket has a different story.
Yeah.
Just like Atlanta.
Right.
There's no difference. Buckhead was a darling for years. Now it's 20+% vacant.
Right.
Then Midtown. So every market ebbs and flows. In other cities, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So when we go into those, you have to know the vacancy in the submarkets, and you have to know what the difference is in parking cost, TI, concessions. Sure. So every time I go into another market, I use a local broker. There are great brokers throughout Lee everywhere, so I'm able to rely on our network to get the information we need to make that happen. Overall, Atlanta is unique in that we don't have as much paid parking as other cities have, which makes a big difference.
Right.
And parking costs are ridiculous throughout the country.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the numbers I see is like, holy cow. So I think what we'll see continue is the flight to quality is because the fire industry, like finance, insurance, real estate, tech, and banking and finance, they all are the type of users that will go to the quality buildings.
Right.
And most of those deals are smaller deals for longer terms because they're based off of their workplace strategy, retaining, recruiting employees. You've heard all that before. So flight to quality is important. Although throughout the country, most of the deals we're doing, about 70% are renewals.
Okay, yeah.
And the only time that we find that we're relocating is if the building has lost some credibility in the market, or it's deteriorating, had been updated, the landlords changed, and the new landlord's not very good, then my clients will look to relocate into a better building, perhaps a higher end building.
Yeah, gotcha. And I'm glad you mentioned renewals, because actually the top lease of the quarter was a major renewal in Atlanta. Leasing activity was strong across the board in Atlanta. Absorption was actually pretty high this quarter. We had 2 consecutive quarters of positive absorption. Are you feeling like in the market this positive energy again in Atlanta with tenants coming to Atlanta? I know you just said you're working on a lot of renewals, but are you seeing new tenants enter the Atlanta office market again?
Yeah, they are. A lot of them are consolidating.
Yeah.
And that's been a big issue in the consolidation, three cities to one, or expanding one office to accommodate growth in a particular market. And Atlanta attracts their share of corporate end users. It always has great transportation, cost of living. It's a great community.
Yep.
So great place to live, raise kids, that type of thing. So I do see Atlanta being very competitive, but it kind of goes back to, when is our vacancy going to come down?
Sure.
And it's just a matter of working through the system.
Yep.
All things are looking positive, but we've always been a boomer bust town, but we've gotten so big that we're no longer boomer bust. We just kind of work slowly, matriculate up, and matriculate back down in a better position.
And Atlanta is working through all of that new supply we delivered over the past few years. Construction activity, relatively not hot right now. No one's really doing any big projects, so I do think that'll kind of help vacancy going forward. I do want to talk about rents with you though, because rents is interesting, where rents in Atlanta have always been on the upward, even as vacancy has been on the upward. So with the multi-markets that you're working with, how are those markets' rental rates compared to Atlanta? Are these markets also have higher rental rates that are on the upward?
In the desirable markets, yes.
Yeah.
It does seem counterintuitive, like rental rates continue to go up, so does vacancy.
Right.
Inflation had a lot to do with that.
Okay.
Operating expenses have increased quite a bit. Cost of construction has increased quite a bit, and to get the type of tenant improvement packages that you need so that the client doesn't have to come out of pocket with a lot of CapEx, means the rental rates are going to be higher. So the rental rates generally aren't an issue.
Yeah.
There are certain submarkets in every city that I work in that are flat and have been flat.
Okay.
The Northeast, Class A space in the Northeast has been in the low 20s for years. Hasn't gone up, rarely goes down.
Right.
Parts of the Northwest is the same way, although the area around the Battery and what have you, those rents have escalated, which has caused that rent escalation in that market. Rents in Buckhead have gone up, even though we still have 20% vacancy in Buckhead. Rents in Buckhead have gone up, the asking rents, and a lot of that has to do with the cost of the operating and delivering the real estate.
Right. Absolutely. I think that was a great synopsis of the quarter. We touched on absorption, vacancy, new supply coming online. We're not going to see a lot of that, which will, I think, help vacancy go down a little bit. As we look to the rest of this year in 2026, what are you paying most attention to, and what is a sign that you're going to really look towards that you do think Atlanta's market will continue to improve?
Well, during COVID and post-COVID, 20 through 22, early 23, most of my clients and a lot of tenants did short-term renewals, 3 and 5 year renewals.
Yeah.
And all of those are rolling over now. And a lot of those tenants will go to longer-term leases, 7-year leases, that type of stuff, and may relocate. So I continue to see activity because of that. There are more and more tenants will be in the marketplace, which will elevate the activity level. And I do see probably some more relocations towards the back half of the year, especially tenants are getting out of buildings where the capital markets have kind of frozen in that regard. So I anticipate it'll continue to get better as long as we don't keep putting more inventory in the market.
Right.
I think our vacancy rate will come down.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because tenant rollover.
Yeah.
As a tenant rep, one of the things I always say is leases always expire. So there's always something for me to do.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Awesome.